catalysts and reactors fast and easy. Probably figured out by now that catalysts and activators are very important in this game when it comes to leveling your characters and your weapons. And you can get the patterns for catalysts and activators from missions. However, just about everything converges at these strategic outposts. And how much time have you spent at these outposts so far? Well, probably a lot. And you might be wondering, well, which are the absolute best for farming reactors and crystallization catalysts? Well, good news. I have that answer, and I'm going to share that with you today. Let's get to it.
Tux makes it exciting!
There are 21 total outposts in this game. They're spread all across the maps from Kingston to the fortress. Some of them are easy and some of them are very hard. I went around and soloed every single outpost and its associated reactor in the game. And then I ranked them. And from that discovered 3 really good outposts and reactors that you can solo with the budget Sharon build. Each outpost gives you a 25% chance to earn 2 patterns. One pattern you can get just by destroying all of the terminals and defeating the boss. The other one, you have to hack all the terminals without being detected. That means you're gonna need Sharon. She's the only one that can go invisible. And so with Sharon, you have a really good shot of getting both of these patterns and even a stabilizer. If you're catching my drift, Sharon is required in order to get the most out of these outposts. You need to at least have a reasonable Sharon build. I do recommend, just to give yourself a little bit of grace time, at least 14 seconds duration on your cloaking capabilities, your number 2. Ideally, you're greater than 17 seconds. You can do a lot with that. So I know you're waiting to hear what are the 3 best outposts in the game to farm catalysts and reactors. And here they are. It's Kingston Fallen Theater, Sterile Land at Rockfall, and Hagios at Dune Base.
Let's do this!
Here's the infographic that I'll be providing you. Download it from the link below. In gold here, these are the best. These are the fastest. I mean, you can literally clear them in under 30 seconds and then kill the void reactor boss in about a minute. I've also included the information on how many shards you need and what shards, and the numbers below those are the patterns. So I think Kingston is the absolute best. That's the Fallen Theater outpost, and the reactor is Grand Square, and the patterns are 54, 55, and 55 AA. Real quick, one of the extra things that's special about the Kingston one is that it drops a very important material from this location. If you look in your activator area, there's this item here called the low carbon activator. You can get this from the Void Fusion Reactor or the Fallen Theater Strategic Outpost. So you're not only going to be farming catalysts and activators, but also one of the key ingredients to getting or to crafting this item. And then there's the mid section. The mid ones aren't so bad. That's where you graduate to, and what that means is you're gonna have to start investing more into your Sharon build. But more importantly, these are gonna take more strategy, and that's because the bosses can't be one-phased. So in the gold section, the bosses can all be one-phased, meaning they don't have the balls hovering over their head, which would require a 2-phase. Some of them have more than one boss, but they're really easy to kill. So in the mid section, some of these bosses, both on the front end and the back end, so the outpost and the reactor, will have multiple phases. Some of them won't, but it's also about the quantity and the difficulty level of the pod terminals that you have to hack. So some of these are going to have 4, and they're going to be really spread out. And then you have the boss that has to be 2-phase. So they require more strategy and a better build, but they can be done solo. And then these last 5 at the very bottom, I mean, they just suck. And sometimes you have to do them solo. I did them all solo, but they're painful. The bosses are a big pain. And so I think the ones in blue are best done in group. But that's not what this video is about. This video is not about can you do it or can you not do it. Should you do it solo? Should you do it in group? This video is about which are the outposts that are the fastest to farm, get the patterns, as well as crack open those patterns, and you have the ability to do it solo. But if you have friends, awesome. If you're gonna do these in a group, awesome. These are still the 3 fastest.
Let's do this!
Okay, first let's look at the Fallen Theater. It comes with pattern 54 and 55. We're just gonna look at those real quick. So you have a 20% chance of receiving that catalyst blueprint. And then if you look at 55, you have a 6% chance of receiving that energy activator when you crack it open. So both 54 and 55 are opened at the same reactor. But what I wanted to show you here is that it doesn't matter which outpost or reactor you go to and the patterns that they drop. It is always 20% for a catalyst. It is always 6% for an activator. That's going to be the numbers no matter where you go. And that's why it's important to find one of these that are super fast and easy on the front end and the back end. What I mean by back end is the reactors. When you go over here and defeat this boss, you're gonna have to spend those shards. So you have inorganic and organic shards that are required here in order to crack those patterns. And then you have your patterns 54, 55, and 55A. And then the little green checkbox tells you that you have those in your consumables inventory. So now real quick, let's take a look at Sterile Land, and we're gonna be looking at Rockfall. So it's the same story over here. You're gonna jog over to this outpost. As you can see, it's 60 and we have 61. And then you're gonna jog over here, which is very nice, to this reactor. It's just around the corner. And you're gonna need monomers and polymers. All right, and the third one is Hagios and Dune Base. So let's take a quick look at that at a high level. And of course, I will be showing you the strategy on each of these in action. Dune Base Hagios is down here. This is gonna give us pattern 108, and it's gonna give us pattern 109. And then the reactor is just around the corner, and it's gonna take organic and monomer shards. So all of the ones that I just reviewed are going to be super easy. So let's get into the action and I'll walk you through each one of these fights.
Let's do this!
So here we are at the Kingston Outpost, and I like to get started back here. Right here. So I basically hide right here, just out of sight, and wait for this to spawn. So let's get started. So let's start with this one first, and then I do a tuck and roll here. And then I get up here. I go invisible. It's still invisible, and I launch this. The boss is there. And then because I got a kill, I'm invisible again. And then I one-shot him. It's all said and done. And then we got 2 patterns. 24 seconds. So you're gonna wanna do this over and over and over and just get a ton of them. Just get a bunch of them. Okay, now I'm at the associated reactor, and this is where we need to defeat a boss and then take a crack at that pattern for what we're looking for. In this case, either a catalyst or an activator. Take a look at what we got here. Okay, here we are over at Sterile Land, and this is the Rockfall zone. This one is so easy, it's crazy. You can start from wherever you want. So I just kind of zoom in here and take each one of these out. And notice I hide behind the wall to do my swords, and that's because my timer goes out. It just minimizes damage. If you didn't know, she can shoot her swords through objects, walls, even rocks. So once I do that, then I go invisible again and just take out the enemy, and we're done. Rinse and repeat, repeat, repeat. Now let's head over to the reactor. It's just around the corner. We're gonna get 2 bosses that spawn on this. They're both actually pretty easy. The first one's a rusher, and he's tanky. And I just went ahead and took my first shot, even though it wasn't on the head, because he was like wiggling all over the place and wandering around. So that took a couple extra shots to take him down. Either way, there's the other boss that's gonna come from the left. He's not too far away. He's just really tanky. He shoots ice at you. Otherwise, he's really easy. Hagios Dune Base is really easy as well, but slightly more difficult than the other ones I just showed you. It has 4 hacks you have to do, but they're all really nicely laid out. But they're spread out. You don't need to do anything fancy, just keep tucking and rolling for speed, and end up in a place where you're aligned for your shot and you're good to go. Okay, now let's head over to the reactor. Now this reactor is a little bit more difficult than the others. The reactor has 3 bosses, but they're really dumb. So it's really easy to use a hit and run strategy and use the rocks for your advantage. It does take just a tad bit longer than the other reactors I showed you, but we're talking seconds, maybe a minute here longer. Outposts for me are the best place to get the catalysts and the activators. Of course I get them from missions and beating Colossi, but in the end, this is just the way to go. It's just super fast. So just to show you the results, look at how many energy activators I have on reserve, as well as how many catalysts. I mean, that might not seem like a lot, but it is. And I've been spending these as crazy. I try to craft them as absolutely as fast as possible. I always have one baking in research, and as soon as it's done, I put another one in. I try to minimize the gap because these take forever to craft. It's crazy how long it takes. Thank you for hanging out with me. My name is Tuxedo Bandido. That's Tito Bandido.
One and only.
And this was another episode of The First Descendant. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, like, and turn on notifications to ensure you don't miss out on the fantastic experiences waiting for you in The First Descendant. And if you like videos like this, check out the one I have recommended for you right here. If you have anything you want to see covered, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And thank you to all the channel members and donors who make everything possible. Tux Nation wouldn't be without you.
When you buy or download anything for The First Descendant, be sure to use Tux's creator code to support the channel. Easy peasy.
Follow me.
I get it.